This is Drop Tent Media Network.
Seriously, Dad?
Seriously, Dad? Two father comedians out of Philadelphia. Seriously, Dad?
Dad? Seriously?
Dad?
Seriously? Seriously?
Yo, welcome back. Season 2. Seriously, Dad.
Seriously, Dad on 3. 1, 2.
Seriously, Dad.
Seriously.
We were supposed to do a thing on 3. Jay, he didn't follow through with it. Now I look like the crazy one.
No,
Jay was good. It was Neil. Neil's the one who really
Well, because you're not supposed to actually say anything for the clap so that it doesn't come into the edit.
like a Wayne's World where they just do
3,
the thing.
2.
3, 2, and then they don't say one. They just do this.
Yeah,
and now, this is for our Patreon members. So welcome. This is extra content for you.
That's Hollywood magic, baby.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Great Thanksgiving, man. How about you?
Yeah, same. What did you do? Anything different? Did you do the normal?
No, he did do the normal. I'll sum up Thanksgiving in one quick one. I'm coming out on the other end of this Thanksgiving fulfilled. Thankful. Very, very good familial connections with all my family members. And I'm walking on the other side of this being like, damn, that was an awesome experience. So that's to sum it up. Did a lot of traveling, 3 different places. Mom, sister, aunt, and pretty much from Thanksgiving till last night, till Saturday night. And I loved it. It was great. Very low key.
It's going to be stressful. You know, I mean, especially when you're going to multiple places or people have different expectations.
Well, no kids. We didn't take kids to multiple places, just Sammy and I. So that made it a lot easier. We traveled very light. It was just simple. But see, here's the thing. You got to keep it simple or you're going to get stressed out at holiday time.
That's right.
There's too much, people put too much stress on themselves, self-imposed bullshit, and they have rough holiday seasons. I go stress-free.
Was this a not holiday? So custody-wise, was this not?
It wasn't my time. Yeah, it wasn't my time. Yep. So
so do you get Christmas then, or how does that?
I mean, I don't celebrate holidays. So if it falls on the weekend, I got it. If not, then we just do it another time.
So
because I'm not the big holiday guy.
Yeah, that's right. Not a big holiday guy.
Yeah, which is sucks for them, but I'm trying, but.
How is Sammy? Does she agree with that?
She likes holidays more than I do. Yeah, but she's not a huge holiday person, but she likes them more than I do. So we're right in the middle, very, simple.
We've been doing a Thanksgiving getaway. So the last 4 years, I think we've gone away from that. Sort of like Amanda and I trying to sort of do our own thing, and it kind of started in COVID when we had to sort of be segregated,
get away, right? You had to
and so we did. The one year we did the Cartoon Network Hotel next to Dutch.
That's right. I remember that
in Lancaster. Last year we did an all-inclusive in Mexico and took my mom with us.
Yeah, so you actually do pretty cool shit.
We were trying just to get away. Last year we had a good year, so I was like, all right, let's go bigger. Instead of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. But this year we did, I had booked a show on Black Friday in my hometown that I was really excited about. So we opted not to go away. We actually rented an Airbnb in the Poconos. So it was kind of halfway between here and the show.
That's like a staycation-ish kind of deal.
Yeah, when we brought my mom, it was pet friendly, so we brought her dog, and my in-laws came up late on Thursday and stayed till Saturday.
Oh, so you had a whole getaway. That's a win.
It was big enough. It had 4 bedrooms, 8 different beds. It was 2 floors, so the second floor had its own living room. So the kids sort of had a living room. We had a living room.
Oh, that's nice. Fireplace.
Fireplace.
I won't do an Airbnb without fireplace.
Yeah, it had a fireplace. It had a lot of rules. I had a lot of anxiety because there were just a lot of little rules to follow, and I hate that. Because
you're right. They do get there's a postcard with all these different things. You got to turn this knob this way, and the garbage disposal works this way, and you could probably break it, and it's this is kind of scary.
It is.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, they get you.
So I left a note in the review. I left a good public review, but there's an app. There's a part where you can leave a review for them.
Oh,
and I alluded. I said, I had a little anxiety because of all of the extra little rules, but I said it's probably not the host's fault. It's probably more of a me problem.
Yeah.
I just was feeling a lot of anxiety, making sure the kids didn't break something, the dog didn't break something, I didn't accidentally break something.
See, that's providing fuel for your holiday stress.
That's what I'm saying.
Holiday stress, big. That's a big buzzword, man.
I had one moment where I thought the girls hurt the pool table. I thought they
Oh
scratched
no,
up the pool table. So I hid all of the balls and in the closet out of their reach, and I went and the dog was the dog as soon as we got there looked me dead in the eyes and peed on the carpet.
Oh yeah,
you son of a bitch!
Wow.
Yeah, but that was the only sag. After those two things, everything was relatively smooth, I will say, until we went to reheat the food, and the oven wasn't I don't know if the oven didn't work as well as it should have, but the food was taking a very long time to reheat in the oven, causing a little bit of stress. My mom is a very perfectionist. She wants things done on time. She wants everything to be timed out perfectly.
See, that's a stress. That's what I'm talking about. That's how they stress.
I had a moment where I looked at my mother-in-law and my wife, who were on the couch just across from me, and they were just kind of sitting there. I looked at them and I said, I don't know what you expect to be happening in terms of play settings and stuff like that, but I'm here to disappoint you. So just tell me right now, and they could just see I was at the end of my rope, and they were very nice about it. And then everybody sort of pitched in, but nobody knew what to do. There wasn't a team meeting. I didn't want to have a team meeting logistics, but somebody should have gotten the plates out, putting up, it felt like I was expected to do everything. And it all worked out, but there was a little bit of stress, but I feel like all of the past years have helped me communicate better in that moment instead of just thinking that they should be reading my mind.
Yeah.
Ready to go. I mean, that works.
Can we say it's yeah. Can we, you said it in there, the holiday stress, and then expectation being the word that apparently messes everyone's family up. Things need to be a certain way, or the expectation people have. Do you guys find that that's what you're butting up against? That's what I find, at least. It's somebody wants it a certain way or a certain thing. We need to be picturesque. We need to do this and that. And you're aren't we just supposed to be together?
Chill. so it's the goddamn movies. That's what it is. You watch Home Alone, you watch these movies where people sit down and eat these meals. That I don't think that really happens all that much. And
I was going to say it was porn. Porn ruins expectations too.
Exactly.
But I think you're right. I think just chill out.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I chill.
It's one of my favorite porns we put on in the background. Thanksgiving head.
And I knew we had two small issues where there was only one oven mitt. So then my mom was,
stop. Wait, hold on. I love that. That's the only. If that's the only problem you guys had, you know what I mean?
I can see you and your mom throwing elbows at the stove.
Yeah.
But this is so funny because it starts that's so funny how it snowballs. And there was one mitt, and then there were these placeholders that you could sort of use to there's a lot of stress with my mom trying to manage that on her own, and then there was no salt. We ran out of salt. And we had 7 pepper mills. If you needed pepper, we had pepper for days.
Nice.
But this one salt shaker ran out. So thankfully, the Dollar General had regular hours on Thanksgiving Day. And so my father-in-law and I went out and drove the 10 minutes down the road to find that. And, prices averted. But I was I have to go out for salt. Can it just can we just eat it as it is? And I could see my mom's brain being I cannot compute with it. So
let's get salt.
And I was if I don't get salt, I'm gonna have to watch her for the entire meal.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Ho, just him and Ho, and fucking with you the entire time.
You know what would be really good? Make this the day even better.
Almost perfect, honey.
Almost perfect.
Salt would really
pictures
really
years from now. Oh yeah, that's the one we didn't have salt.
We didn't have the salt. Oh no, hon, your dad just didn't get salt. There's nothing wrong with that turkey. Your dad just didn't know that he needed to get salt to click that box on that.
Sorry, Lainey, we had to give you up for adoption, but this last Thanksgiving there was no salt. So it's it's insane.
Yeah.
So I just find it funny sometimes. And God bless her. She's always wanted things to be like a Norman Rockwell. I think she's always defined herself as her worth is defined by how socially acceptable she's able to. And I think maybe she feels like she's and maybe this is me speaking out of turn, but thinking that she's compensating maybe for the fact that she knows that her lifestyle wasn't being supported by the mainstream at that time. So she was going to make sure everything else about her life
she's doing it.
was
Okay.
up to the expectations of, whatever. So I think that those are the demons I think she's battling, but I'm learning how to swim in that water with her without getting taken under by the current, So that's what I think I've learned. I think that's the thing. Maybe you too. Maybe that's the reason why yours was also good, because maybe as we're getting older, we're sort of realizing where I'm not going to dance. I'm going to sit that dance out. Otherwise, I know where those steps lead. Those expectations are, and let's just solve the problem and move on.
Yeah. I think with the food, when it comes to food, that's a big expectation thing.
Oh yeah.
I think you make the food, you leave it on the stovetop. When it's ready, people go get their food, they sit down. That's the best way to do it.
Buffet style.
Buffet style. Thank you. Bringing things out and carving things in front of people. That's some Hollywood bullshit. That's Hollywood magic. No one's doing that. Just go get what you want, sit down and eat it. You want more? Get your ass and go get more food. Right? That's it. Pass things around the table, that stuff. That's for the.
I was just thinking Thanksgiving. Jay, since you were in the kitchen with him, have you had at moments have people broken in the kitchen and been like, everybody out? Have you ever had?
Oh yeah. I lied to bit to my mom. I'm like, get out, move.
Yeah. I just thought about it. It's the one time of year where you have multiple people in your family and you might be, and none of you work in a kitchen. Like none of us work, quote unquote, in a kitchen. And then all of a sudden you guys find yourself being like behind, corner, left. Like you're acting like you're in a commercial kitchen because you have no training in that whatsoever.
Go ahead.
One thing that gets me, one thing that gets me is the expectation to bring stuff to people's houses. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Are you inviting me? Like I can walk in this house with just me, or you inviting me because I have to bring something, and then I got to check with you what I can bring, and I got to really really try hard on it. That's a stressful piece. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think if you invite someone in your house, they should be able to come empty-handed, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's like a cover charge, like a food and beverage cover charge.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they brought something, they can come in.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I don't like that.
Just like a 25-year-old nephew out front being like, what do you got? Come on.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
show it. It's your ID.
It's a shakedown.
What do you got? Yeah.
I don't know. I see the other side of that, because I'm like, if they're providing the space and the place, then they also have to cook everything. Like I feel like
I get it. I see that. I see that also. I really do. But
I think it should be low key stuff. If something you could buy at the store on your way over and not feel good.
So what if my sister was like, "Yo, come to Thanksgiving. Can't wait to see you. Bring something." If I just looked at her, I was like, if I just brought you $25 instead, would that work? Is that a fucked up thing? If I'm like, I'll just give you money instead. I'll just pay a cover charge and then you can do it. Is that cool?
Yeah, like a shitty stepdad only sees her once in a while. Yeah, it's probably pretty fucked up.
Exactly. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like Jay's put a good point. Like you typically wouldn't ask that person to bring something extravagant, right? You'd be like wine. Something.
Well, unless they're known for something. Maybe some people are known for their thing,
right? And they're the cookie people. They make the cookies
to bring their thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I jokingly said I had 3 things that I required for Thanksgiving to exist, and that's stuffing from inside the turkey, that's crescent rolls with bran biscuits, and the third thing is cranberry sauce, but it's got to be in the shape of a can. And those are my 3 things. And also the way to tell you that I grew up poor.
Sort of. I don't know. Stuffing inside the turkey for me, fancy. I've never done stuffing inside the turkey. Not once.
That was like bread was going to go bad, so you cut it up and then you threw it inside the turkey.
Yeah. Ours is always, we like sausage. The Italians, we like the onions with the sausage in it. You know what I mean? It's just another way to get more Italian sausage in your mouth.
Onions in the interior.
We just make it separate stuffing, and we just do sausage and everything in it separately.
I wouldn't be upset at that though.
Yeah, right.
But like stovetop, I wouldn't want stovetop. I'd want
I know.
But so and we didn't have stuffing from inside the bird this time, but it was still really good. And we didn't have crescent rolls, but we had cranberry sauce in the shape of a can. So
All right, 2 for 3 is not bad.
Yeah.
2 for 3 is
I like
not
the
bad.
tartness. Like I like to make a little sandwich on the biscuit with the turkey, and I like the tartness of the cranberry.
See, you're a creative. That's a creative eater move right there. So you make a sandwich with the biscuit and the cranberry and the turkey. That's a creative eater move. That's
And even
creative.
like open face, like you do open face because then you're getting
You do open face. You get 2 of them. That's a creative eater.
That's the
I
Jay
just put whatever can fit on the fork. I mix that way. You're making like like sliders,
I want to
like
make
turkey
I
sliders.
want to make my own gobbler.
That's what I just said. I was like, that's the Jay gobbler.
Oh, is that what the gobbler?
Yeah. Well, it's like the Wawa gobbler. Yeah.
Oh my
great.
goodness, it's good. So yeah, I like Thanksgiving, and I like it because there's no like other things. It's just we're here to eat and watch football, and that's it.
There you go.
And there's no gift giving, there's none of that stuff. So I kind of like that aspect of it. It's like the precursor. It's like the what Churchill Downs is to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah,
like
It's getting you ready. It's getting you ready.
That's ready for
Shit's
the
about to get insane.
Yeah. And even with your expectations around what you wanted, it's very nice of you to like, okay, we didn't get that, but you don't. That's what I hate when people mess up because of their expectations. You were like, okay, we didn't get turkey, stuffing from inside the turkey. Yeah. So what? We're all together. We still have
Whatever.
stuffing.
Whatever.
Yeah, so I didn't, but my mom still had those expectations, but yeah, we worked through them. It was great.
Yeah.
We didn't. I thought we were going to do like a game night. We didn't end up doing a game night, but my father-in-law, who sometimes can be a handful, behaved himself well. He and I got along well. We watched. I introduced him to Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh,
I was watching.
He's a tough guy. Like my father-in-law's a tough cookie when it comes to humor and to get him to really laugh.
Yeah.
And I thought some of those misdirects of Jeselnik's would like
they didn't work.
Oh yeah, it worked. He definitely enjoyed. His opener for this new special is really funny.
Yeah, he's pretty dark shit.
Well, I knew my father-in-law would appreciate that and not seeing it coming. And so that guy, he got a good few laughs, which is rare for him.
Nice.
And then the second night we watched after he came to my show, and then after the show we watched Old Dads with Bill Burr.
Oh yeah, that's a good movie.
He wrote and directed it.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, so that was a fun one as well. So yeah, so he and I had a good bonding time after because we're both not really big football sports guys. Like I had the games on, like the Lions game, the first game of the day, but we're both not really big into that. So the comedy part or doing some of those was kind of fun for he and I to.
Yeah, it didn't turn into the Michigan-Ohio game that just happened. Whatever happened with that, I'm like insane. But no, Albert. So what? Yeah, Jay's talking about traditions and stuff like that, like or things that you want to do. Or was there anything like that you wanted to do with your fam for Thanksgiving, or
no,
like specifically?
Man, I'm just a hanger out.
Yeah. Did something come of it? You guys didn't play any games or something?
We played Scrabble. We always play Scrabble.
Oh, that's a tradition.
We did Scrabble. Yeah, we play a lot of Scrabble in our family. I came in second. My brother-in-law won. I have nieces and nephews, so they were there.
How old?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. How old are they? Got to be like 6 and 3.
Jay, why are you putting him on the spot like this?
They're young, so they weren't playing Scrabble.
They weren't playing Scrabble. They were around. They're jumping around, playing with the balloon, and we connected, so that was good. And I get out of everybody's way, and I just chill out. That's my expectation. My expectation is to sit here and cool out. Chill. Let me know when it's time to eat. Let me know if you need help. I'll help you. If you don't, I won't.
Yeah,
I'll be fine. And I had a great one because I kept that expectation extremely low, and it's only up.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was perfect.
You guys don't watch anything specifically?
Don't watch anything specific. Little football bullshit was on. I'm not a huge football fan.
We used to do the whole thing.
There was no NBA on, I believe, right?
Parade. Sometimes people are big around the parade.
The parade. Not a big parade guy.
Gotcha.
We watched it in the morning, or at least had it on.
Yeah. You kind of throw it on. It's there, and you pop in, you pop out.
I still like the going away. Like last year when we went to the Mexico for the resort, I would totally do that. I think we're going to do that again. This was too. I don't like the tradition stuff. Like
I think it's cool you do that.
I
do it
too.
up, man. Make that your thing. Get out for Thanksgiving.
Because for me, like I said, I think coming with that baggage of my mom and her having these expectations, it makes me want to be the anti that. So I want to just be together with my family and be thankful and relaxed. And that's how Amanda wants to be. She wants to read 3 books. She wants to read a book a day and be relaxed.
That's a humble brag. A book a day. That's amazing.
She's
I could never do that. I could never do that.
She's a fiend with that. So she just wants to be able to be there. So
Yeah.
I think that's what we're gonna try to keep that next year. I think I'll just keep that because it's like a nice 3-4 day getaway. I'd love to do a little 3-day cruise. You know what I mean? Like just something to get away and have somebody else deal with everything and just let it be.
What was since we're talking all positive about Thanksgiving and stuff like that, but I don't know if we've ever asked you what are you guys remember some nightmare ones? Did you guys have
ones? Oh wow!
Do you remember some good old fashioned bad ones from back when you were a kid or anything?
I got no bad things. I can't think of any bad Thanksgiving.
That's awesome.
Everything's been chill. Expectations low.
No, but no fighting or anything like that.
No one fighting.
No drunk at the
we've
table.
had no beef. We've had no fist fights.
Damn.
We've had no people telling each other off. We've had no one getting too drunk. No one being late. We have had zero issues. Just getting together and enjoying each other. We're
fantastic.
so lucky. Yeah, that's.
Hey, when the cops aren't called for Thanksgiving, it's a good Thanksgiving.
You know what I mean? You ever had the cops call for Thanksgiving? No, you
Personally, no. Cops, no. There's definitely been some shout matches and stuff like that,
wow.
and some stuff that boiled over. But
Yoder, you got.
No, I mean we're pretty calm. I mean, no, my biggest pet peeve was just when we would try to go to everybody's house, like my family being like a split family, and so trying to go to people on my dad's side, try to go where my mom is, try to go to Amanda's. It was just I hated when we were trying to pack it up and go to everybody's house in a day. That was the only thing that
does suck. And then you got to leave. You're at the one house. You're having a blast. Everything. And then it's like, okay, we got to leave so we can get to Aunt Tammy's house. We're like, what's wrong with this house? We're having fun. Then I got to, fuck.
You know what starts to develop though, because what you're talking about. Especially Jay's going to know exactly what I'm talking about immediately. When you have the situation when you need to go to a lot of different places, the kids will feel it. Everyone will feel it. Like, that one Thanksgiving place that we have to stop kind of sucks.
The one place.
like the kids are like, can we go there now? And you're like, chill. Like, come on, man. This is still family.
I would do that. My dad's side of the family was always kind of like that because then it was just always a little off. Like we didn't see them a lot, so then there was always like, oh, this is your whoever that you haven't seen in a million years, and
he's always making you a little uncomfortable.
Can't remember their names. You're like,
you're like, are we even related? Are you like married to someone? Who the fuck are you?
Second cousin by marriage or something? Yeah.
And they only saw Alicia like once a year, so like not having an understanding of what she's like, and then you got 2 hours you can't train them and that whatever. You hope that everything's kind of calm for those 2 hours. So all of that stress, I just don't need that. So unfortunately, my aunt passed away, was sort of like the binder of the family. So I think that side of the family's drifting out into the ocean.
Gotcha. Damn.
But in any event, that's why we kind of took charge and just said, well, since the pandemic, this is our thing. We're gonna keep our family unit together and make sure everybody's having a good time and being relaxed.
Great. Did it. Well, this is perfect.
Expectations low.
But then we got back and it's time for the elf. So it's just
that manipulative little.
And we lost, the year before we lost the elf, so we had to buy a different elf. And then my wife, and I joke about this on stage, but like my wife wrote them a note last year saying that our old elf got COVID, and that's why we have a different elf that doesn't.
Oh shit! Damn. Oh man, you're gonna have to explain that.
So then at the end of the year, Amanda's like, "Here's the doll, the second doll." She's like, "Please hide this somewhere." That we'll know where it is. And so I'm like, I got just the place. And I go into this place. I go up on this closet, up on the top shelf. What's there? Last year's right in the spot that was in my brain to go.
Baby.
I'm like, it's a terrible idea.
Damn.
Now I gotta remember. So now we have both of them.
Okay.
So
wow.
I proved myself because this morning, Amanda put both out for them.
Oh, wow.
And then Alicia comes down. She's like, chocolatey and milk chocolate are back. And so one's white chocolatey. The
And look at Ebony and Ivory thing going. Look at that.
And she's like, she's back from having coronavirus.
Jay, I want to say how proud I am. I think, Albert, I don't know how you agree with this, but I wouldn't have told anybody. I would have let that die. There's no way I would have been any. I'd be like, I left it up there. I messed up. I forgot where it was. I'd be like, no one needs to know about this.
Nope.
We're gonna hide that away.
Off that.
Jay, you are a better man than I am.
Yeah, that to me. That's the beauty of like what I love talking about, especially like even on stage in my act, is like those moments, because those are like the real moments that happen. That'd be like, yeah, anybody else would be like, oh, nobody saw that. Okay, 5-second rule. And I'm like, oh no, I ate it. I just want to let you know I let it sit for 10 seconds on the floor and then I ate it.
I would have buried that.
Yes, I catch it. Well, it's relatable. That's relatable. Parents,
but now,
I get that.
Now we have two. But so now we have two again. So now and then I heard them talking. They're like, oh, maybe they'll hide in different spots.
Sure.
And like, so
so you got to hide them both.
Oh, no.
So I've really screwed myself here.
Yeah.
And my wife did it early last night to make sure it was out. But then my youngest was like up and about. So I had to like run interference to make sure she didn't come in the kitchen and see it already out.
Sure. Oh my goodness.
Right. Sure.
You're putting a lot on your plate. See, that's a
lot of stress.
That's a holiday stress right there. That's a small thing. You don't think it's a big deal. That stress that's holiday stress of managing that stupid little elf.
Mm-hmm.
And not getting caught, like touching it, and like, yeah, you're gonna give yourself stress.
Producer and friend Neil Wood here. Brief commercial break.
I'm Alejandro Morales,
And I'm Rachel Peters.
and we're the hosts of
We're dating.
a show about love.
Like, we are crazies match, but they're opposite.
And like relationships.
Dating.
Very weird and fueled by a lot of tequila.
I don't think so.
Because I was at a point in my life where I was like in my early 20s and I was so lost. Maybe this is good, maybe this is bad. He was also maybe like trying to find himself as well.
Sex. Lots of sex.
I'm a side. That's when you don't really like mouth and hand stuff.
Subscribe now on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and more.
Seriously, Dad. Seriously.
All right, so I was grateful, with Thanksgiving being up by home, because that was the other thing. Like, I always remember going back to Scranton, Carbondale area, and this time it was special because I produced an own show in my hometown. In the bank, I deposited my first $5 in that now is into the event space.
Oh, nice!
And it's gorgeous because it's an old bank.
Yeah,
the vault is actually the bar.
Oh,
so
very
if you
nice.
get a drink, you go into the vault.
Nice.
Which is kind of cool. So I got to go home. So as I was driving home, my father-in-law came to the show. So I was taking him around a little tour. And I was like, oh, this is where I used to ride my bike all over town. I used to go up this hill to Russell Park. It was just so nostalgic because I remember that town for me is where I grew up. That's like when I spent 8 till I was 18. Those prime years were in this town where I'd walk to school. Like, the kids at my school can't walk to school right now. Like, it's a different, like, everything's different, my kids, like, if I send my kids outside, my wife's like, oh, are you out there with them? Like, nobody was out there with me, but I also listened to enough true crime to be like, all right, maybe you need to have the dog out there or, something else. It's a different world,
Yeah, it is interesting because when I was younger, I know what I was doing, where I was doing it, and I know that I did a lot of dumb shit. Now that I have kids, I'm not the parent that I wanted to have, you know what I mean, who just didn't care that you did all the crazy shit. And I think that when we were younger, I guess it wasn't like it is now. We were doing,
but not even crazy shit, just like having more freedom.
It'd be crazy now. Don't you think it'd be crazy? Like, if you told your daughter, when I was your age, just one day we rode our bikes 14 miles away from the house. Yeah. You'd be like, what the fuck?
We rode I have a story where I hung out with these older kids. I was probably 11, and we rode our bikes across the state line to New York. When I was staying up with my dad's house in Susquehanna, Pennsylvania, but like there was this trail and we ended at a McDonald's in like whatever the first town in New York was.
Yeah, see?
He had to call his sister to like come drive us back because then it was like we just rode like 11 miles. Like It was like such a long way.
Now what if you told your daughter, the one who your daughter, you're like, oh, hold my hand when we cross the street and and then you're like, oh shoot, when I was 2 years older than you are now, I rode my bike 15 miles away and was in New York State. They'd be like, Daddy, what the fuck, man? You've been lying to us.
She'd be like, watch your mouth.
Yeah.
But the other thing, we this one time, I'll never forget this. We set up on the opposite end of a block in the street and we're throwing rocks at each other.
Oh my God.
And then I actually got hit with one direct in the nose, like a little one. We were trying to like kill each other. It wasn't like boulders, but it caught me. And dude, spout of blood coming out of my nose.
Nice.
And I remembered someone just running me into whatever the closest neighbor's house was. And they had me like lay back on my back so that like the pressure would go down.
Oh,
but
that's nice of them.
That was the game. The game was throw rocks at each other. Like
then your friends get mad because you're injured. You're like, dude, you're not going to say anything. Everyone's going to get in trouble. Be quiet. Be quiet about it. All right.
In Carbondale, we had this one time where we got together and played football in the rectory. The rectory, you know, if I say rectory, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a religious, usually with like the nuns.
So right next to the church, the rectory, and then they had this plot of grass in between another church next to us, and some of us would play football there, like two-hand touch or whatever. Well, somebody kicked the ball through the glass window of one of the churches to the left, and everybody did this thing where they were just like run,
and everyone just ran,
running in different directions. And me and this other kid end up running into an adult coming out of that church. Of course, and everybody else like got away,
right?
And then he ratted. The other kid got
smart,
like somebody he ratted.
Smart.
But he played it off well. He was like, it was an accident, whatever.
Sure.
But I remember the fear of like when the ball went through that window, and you're just like,
oh my God, that hurts.
Sandlot. It felt like I was in a scene of Sandlot, and you're just like, oh no, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, I saw this thing where this lady was I think it was a southern state. She gets in trouble because I think she let her 10-year-old walk or ride his bike somewhere by himself.
Oh, I think I saw it, like sent him to the store or something.
Yeah, and then the video's like the cops pretty much arresting this woman.
And she played it cool. If that was the video I'm thinking of,
she did play pretty cool. Yeah,
she was like calling somebody to be like, "You got to come here. I'm getting arrested." Because it is. I think that's. I mean, I know it's a different time, but like, I don't know what the path to the store was like. But like, if she's letting her 10-year-old go, my grandma would write me a note when I was less than 10, send me to the corner store to get her cigarettes.
To get smokes, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, couldn't have been, she passed when I was 8. So I had to have been less than 8 years old.
Yeah.
She was sending me to the store to get her cigarette. Like, you know.
Albert, what were your
store was.
Yeah. Albert, what were your thoughts when you first saw the story? Like, what were your, like, you heard the story.
I just went back to think, the same thing Jay did is like, I remember moving to of northern PA when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So anything I remember in that time, I was 8 years old. Like when we first got there, I remember going to the store by myself, walking to school by myself, walking around at night, riding my bike at night, during the day in some crazy places, doing some off the wall shit, like usually out in nature, out in the woods. And that was just growing up, man. That's all it was. You were just being a kid.
Yeah.
That's it. So the first thing I thought was, well, he's just being a kid. But then you think, like, I don't know if now's the time for your kid to be making those trips to the store.
Right. Yeah, and the story specifically, you guys can look up. It was a Georgia mother. She was arrested after her 10-year-old son took a solo walk to the store about a mile from her home in rural Georgia.
Okay.
And she's going to fight it, she says.
Yeah.
And the body cam footage from the sheriff's office shows that Brittany Patterson, then 41, being confronted and arrested at her home on October 30th by deputies.
So my opinions on it are really this. It's only bad if something bad happens. Right. If she lets that boy walk to the store and something bad happens, then she's a horrible person and she should know better. You know,
there are kids in New York who use public transportation. Every day. Yeah. Like, well, how is that any different? like
New York. Yeah, Albert lived in New York.
Yeah,
right. He did. Yeah, you saw some of that. When
there were kids taking 3 chains to get to
school. When I went to the one Catholic school, they'd pick me up at my development, drop me off by myself on this main street in front of this professional building that wasn't open, and I would have to just wait for another transfer bus to pick me up by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just an 8-year-old sitting on by myself on the sidewalk. Like, that was the school district doing that to me. So it's just like, I can't, to me, it's just ridiculous. Cause it's like, listen, if that's how she said it's okay for him to go to the store, it's okay for him to go to the store.
Right.
Nothing happened. He didn't break any laws. End of story.
I agree 100%. Now let's just say she does the same thing and something bad happens. Then it's a different, right? Then it's like, why did she do that? Why did she make that decision? Why was the kid by himself? Why didn't she give him a ride? It was only a mile. She was too lazy to walk with him yet. Then it starts to spiral. No? Am I the only one who thinks that?
I mean, you're right. I think you're right, but it's just it's still like things happen. You know what I mean? Like
right. You can't make all the people happy all the time. Yeah.
I mean, a bus could hit us, so does that mean we should never walk on the street? I mean,
and she
I don't want to live my life like that.
Yeah, and this comes out of like, she has 2 children, Miss Patterson, and she had to take the other child to a medical appointment on the same day. She called out for her 10-year-old at the home, and he didn't come to the car. She assumed that he just didn't want to go. Again, they're rural, so there's no one else around. So she just figured he was staying home. And then Soren, he didn't come. Patterson, she looked around, she left. She assumed he didn't want to go, so then she left. And then, she lives on 16 acres. You know what I mean? It's like the kid's got room to play. He's messing around.
Exactly.
And then I guess he walked to the store. And do you guys think this is just our hyper awareness of that the times have changed and the kid looks so vulnerable? Like, we now are so sensitive to Jay's point about the crime, criminal stuff like Jay, right? Like, you're just like, you see a kid alone, you're like, that doesn't look right anymore. It just doesn't look right.
I mean, you sometimes you feel that way.
I drove by a couple of kids the other day on the back roads that were riding their bikes by my house, and there's just 2 kids on a bike, and that's exactly how I grew up. But part of me was like, oh, should they be on this road? Like, I did have a moment where I was kind of like, oh, should they be on this road?
Yeah.
Should they be? And it's like, yeah, they should. Like, why shouldn't they be?
Right.
Why can't but you're right. Like we're in this kind of conundrum where it's gray. It's a lot of gray area. It's not a lot of black and white. And I think a parent is the only person that gets to make the decision of when a gray area, if it's to become a black or a white area, that should be up to the kid. That should be up to the parent. And if no crime was committed and nothing happened, then that woman should be in her home right now and not worried about getting a lawyer to fight some stupid lawsuit because she had that kid. They didn't have that kid. They didn't push it out. So they have they don't get to have a say. It's like, did you see the other video? I don't know. The kid called the police on his mother apparently for child abuse because she hit him or spanked him.
Right.
And then the cop, and I don't know if this was
this is like Republican nightmare fuel. This is what they call Republican nightmare.
But I don't know if this was I don't know if this was produced or if this was an organic moment.
Right.
But it was like something I remember seeing, and then the cop calls the kid out and basically tells the kid he'd come back and hit him with the belt himself if he does.
Is that right? Yeah, I think that's probably.
And he's like, you listen to your mother.
Right.
She's the boss, and if I have to come back out here, I'm going to hit you with that belt.
Nice. I agree with that.
Kind of shocked.
Yeah.
It's you shouldn't get to. I remember joking with my mom, be like, "Oh, I'm going to call child abuse of you."
Right.
Don't do what I want you. It's like I hate kids
Did you say DIFUS multiple times when you were young? DIFUS was always what my mom would. DIFUS was what I think it might have been. The acronym probably changed, but it was like the if you had to have kids taken away, DIFUS was the
Department of Family Services. Or something.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Youth, I think I've heard it called too. Yeah.
My mom would just call DIFUS right now. I'll call them. You know what I mean?
That's a.
But the kids, the inmates can't be running the prison. So it's like at some point, if the mom's cogent and as eloquent as that mom from Georgia was in that video, then she's just being a good mom. And I liked her attitude because her attitude was like, well, the proof's in the pudding. So whatever.
She's gonna win. She's gonna win because what law did she did? What law did she break?
Yeah, it says there's a lawyer.
I don't know if they're gonna say negligence or something, but
yes. That was the it was child endangerment and that can't be right. This might be the director for a certain school. Yeah, University of Georgia director was talking about this a little bit, and child endangerment is probably what it would be called. Reported to law enforcement. Yeah. Went to a Dollar General. Do you think it's just strange because adults it's like adults are looking at the kid and being like, anything can happen to that kid. It's like you're putting that on that. Like, don't hurt them, don't do anything, and walk like the kid's fine.
Yeah.
Like the Spartans used to send the kid out to go hunt, and if he couldn't survive, then he was.
That's right. He wasn't he wasn't a man, right? It was like the dude.
but like, so it's just, we're obviously different times. So, but it makes me scared as a parent that I have to worry about that my parenting isn't up to snuff with whatever this unwritten rules are, people's interpretation of what I should be doing. Because I don't want anybody to dictate how I should parent. Like that's in the movie Old Dads. I watched my father-in-law over the break that Bill Burr wrote. He alluded to that in the movie because they're all older dads raising kids in this era, and they're just like, well, this is crazy. And the two things you don't talk about are politics and how to raise your kids. Like that's because he was joking if the one wife should talk to the other wife about how her kid is crazy, and anytime he screamed, the mom's like, let it out. Tell us your truth. And he's like, screw that. Like, tell me your truth. Like, smack the kid. Like Bill Burr inadvertently trips him to get over on him at one point. But it's just one of those things. You don't tell people how to raise their kids if you're planning on staying friends with them,
Right.
I think it's probably a good rule of thumb to live by.
Yeah. What do we think? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about like leaving kids at home by themselves?
Right. We've talked about this a little bit. I have this pulled up as well, specifically for Georgia, but go ahead if you guys want.
What do you got?
Yeah, no, okay, so yeah, we could do it because we talked about this before. I think Jay had looked it up once where it was like 11 or 12.
There were some. There was. I think it was like 10 or 11.
Always depending on state to state, obviously, probably, right?
Definitely.
So this one for Georgia is they do not. So Georgia does not have a law around how old a child has to be for them to be left at home alone. But the Child Welfare Agency does publish guidelines that say children 9 and older may be left alone for a couple of hours, and that children 13 or over may watch younger siblings. It makes exceptions for children depending on maturity, I guess, or if the child isn't mature enough. So that's kind of and if anyone's kind of messaging, it was reckless endangerment that she apparently was charged for. At least that's what she was arrested under. So if you're wondering, there's Dyfus.
When I was a kid, they would just leave you. They just left you home.
Yeah,
you would just be home.
Yeah.
You can be home. Like sometimes you didn't have the luxury of getting a babysitter called or someone showing up.
I would invite so many people over. We would get in we'd playing video games. I had one buddy whose prank was to go around anybody's house when they invited him over and change all of the pictures around. So my parents got home, they're like, why are all the photos in different rooms? And so he would always do stuff like that. Or we would prank call people. Oh man, we would do
the prank calling was fun.
There are you are pointing out there are problems of leaving children alone.
So those are the things like what Al was saying earlier, hey, I know all the things I was doing. Now mostly it was wholesome, like nothing crazy. I mean, moving pictures around and prank calling isn't doing any bodily injury to anyone. But it's, you're testing the limits. You got to be able to test the boundaries. That's what childhood is, but at the same time, it's a different world too. So I get it. So I don't leave my kids alone, and my kids are 11 now. I wouldn't leave my 11-year-old. She would probably be fine. But there was a story a couple of years ago where a father did that, went to the store and the house caught on fire.
Oh,
fuck. Away. And I think one of the kids died. And that would haunt me if something.
Oh man, that's horrible. Yeah, that's horrible.
Because to your point earlier, Albert, it's all fine and well until something
happens. Then they start talking about, was he a good dad? Well, why didn't he call them? Why didn't he text that? Why didn't he get the neighbor? And you don't know. So it's always good as long as nothing bad happens, right? Like all the crazy shit we were doing when we were kids is cool because we're still here to talk about it. That's not the case for everybody. There's people that are
And as a society, we're blaming the parent, not thinking as a society we might want to all look out for each other. Like in New York, that was the thing, right? You're riding the train. If someone saw somebody messing with some kids, you'd be like, yo, get away from those kids. What are you doing? Are those your kids? What are you doing right now? We're not blaming our society or thinking about it in that way. There's another Maryland family here that was sparked a national debate some time ago. Parents leaving their kids 10 and 6 years old, just letting them walk home from school after letting them play at a park. And that caused a giant controversy because apparently they were arrested for that. It's kind of wild. We don't know what to do. We want the kids to all be safe. And if kids get in trouble, then we're like that bad parent.
It's like anything. It's a familiar place. it's somewhere you know and you've been. I mean, maybe your guard's a little down, but yeah, I mean, something bad can always happen. So it's like one of those things where is teaching them independence an important thing? Does this help that? Or are you just being lazy and you're avoiding doing something with them? Like, I think there's a lot of people would have to come to grips with some of those things themselves if something were to happen. So I think I err on the side of caution. I know I wouldn't easily leave my kids alone, but even today, my youngest had her friend over and it was just the two of them. So I would kind of went into my room at one point and just shut the door and watch TV and let them and they were going in and out of the house. They were in the yard on the trampoline. Like I was kind of letting them, because they were so loud, like I could hear them. So but I did not go sit and watch them on the trampoline outside. I watched some of the football game. So, did that make me a bad parent? Did that other parent who dropped their kid off have the expectation? I don't think so.
Right.
But that's what happened. So,
That's what it was.
My dog was around with them. So, because even her friend was fighting with Katie, or they were, like play fighting, and the dog like wrestled her friend to the ground to protect Katie. So that made me feel good. I don't know, good for the girl, but like made me feel good that the dog is like,
at least the dog's paying attention.
Because Katie's like a dog. Katie's like the dog mom to that dog. So it makes sense to me that if someone ever tried to mess with Katie and that dog saw it,
that's her girl.
Yeah, it would take care of business. So that's cool. She likes you love that.
What a crazy time. Any final thoughts on this one? I mean, it's I don't know. I think she was taken in for the mom in Georgia, and I think it's
you hope that stories like this are the exception. You know, at the end of the day, like, and hey, who notified the cops that the kid did it on his own? Like, what was the big
dollar
deal?
store? It seemed like the dollar store people had been like, "Are you alone?
What are you doing?"
Like, like what's happening right now? And that's where it came from.
Like, what if he was walking down the street and he walking down the road probably, and he was like in a fucked up part of the road where he could get hit.
Sure.
He didn't realize it, and someone was like, "What the fuck? What are you doing here?" Because he's walking against traffic or he's standing on the wrong place around the bend. They're like, yeah, what's going on? And then it's a danger thing.
It feels like back in the day, the rural cop would just be like, hey, kid, yeah, man, listen, get in the car. I'll take you home. You know what I mean? Like, and that was all it was. It's like, hey, you're that house? Okay, I'll take you home. Come on, get in. Like,
it's funny because like I had that with baseball. I had a couple when I coached middle school. I had these two twin brothers that I guess missed the bus or their parents didn't pick them up. And I didn't realize that because they were gone. So then I got in my car once the bus was pulled out and started driving. I see these two kids carrying their baseball bag down Route 23, which doesn't have sidewalks.
Kids aren't supposed to be on routes. Yeah, that's the word to the wise.
So I pull aside, and now in theory, I'm not supposed to take a kid in my car.
Right.
That's a liability, but I wasn't gonna let the two kids walk on 23. So I pulled over. They got in my car. And I drove them the rest of the way to their house, which was a considerable distance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back in the day, this wouldn't have been a big deal.
Not at all.
20 years ago, nobody would have batted those two. But like, I felt an obligation to get them up and bring them home. And their parents were happy that I did that. It was but at the same time, their parents were more old school too, that were just like, well, they'll get home while they get home.
Yeah.
Our school doesn't even allow that to happen. Even if you live on the edge of campus, they're sending a bus for you.
Right.
Even if you technically walk, which is crazy to me. Like, that's just
walk.
But everybody's worried about liability. Everybody's, it's like the school district has to prove that they had a plan for them. But Pottstown, that's a different. I mean, Pottstown, the police at the middle school have to be there every day because they're vandalizing the houses on their way home from school. It's like
the middle school kids are.
Yeah, it's been a real issue up there.
Damn.
With the kids just having no respect, and all the neighbors who are along the route there. Kids are carrying weapons, like all sorts of shit.
Damn. Yeah.
Someone's gonna get hurt.
There is some other stuff. We're trying to keep them safe, but at the same time, when they are alone, like if they are finding ways to be alone and then also acting out, which doesn't make it great. So we keep then wanting them under supervision, more and more supervision.
Oh. Yeah, so you know your kid, know your community. That's
know your kid, know your community. That
takes a village. That's why it takes a village, because you should know if he's out in that village. Then, like you said, other people got eyes on him, not making sure nobody's messing with him, or they know who he is. Yeah, that's what you need to happen. I mean, if that's happening, then we're not as worried about all of this nonsense. You know,
I mean, well, great. Keep your kids safe, and I don't know, whoever that comes out. What do you guys have coming up as we come in there? Yeah, you guys want to plug any shows coming up in December?
I got 13th. I'm in Yardley at this cool venue. I think it's called Channels Farm in Yardley. So it's got a gig there. 20th, I'm at Soul Joel's hosting. The 21st, I'm in Delmarva, which is like southern Delaware, at a performing arts center there. So I got some stuff coming up. January 15th, I'm at Santander and Reading with board teachers. So JayYoderComedy.com. Check it out.
Heck yeah. I'll go. I think, Albert, you need a sec bump? No problem. Yeah, you can check me out and all the shows we have on Drop 10 Media Network over at drop10.com. Get over there. Myers Brewing Company every second and fourth Friday. So we'll be there the 13th and the 27th. It's going to be after Christmas show. Oh, that's going to be That's going to be wild. Wissahickon Brewing Company as well, and Rosie's Taco Bar. You can get to all those little spots over at drop10.com, and you can follow me. I am Neil Wood on all the stuff.
That was beautiful, Neil. I will be at Comedy Village December 9th. I'll be at the Falzer Club with a friend of the podcast, never been on the podcast, Simeon Goodson.
Oh, yeah, Simeon.
He was in the show.
Yeah, great.
He's going to be back in town. We'll be at a show at the Port. And not the one in Baltimore, though. The Port Bar and Grill in Port Carbon, PA.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be there, but I think this will probably air before then.
Right.
And I got a couple of things in the I'll be out there. Just check it out on Instagram. Davis Comedy.
And don't forget, we got our live podcast at Soul Joel's Saturday, February 15th at 9:00. We got some great guests. Hopefully, Rich Voss is going to be on the first show, so I reached out to him. So hopefully, he'll pop on. We got some Mike D'Alto and some other people joining us.
Oh yeah,
fun. And I'm also going to Mexico with board teachers. They're doing a resort.
Oh, look at that! There we go.
Got all
International
my information for that. So I'm looking forward to. So if any teachers out there, we're going to be dropping pre-sales for the resort takeover in all inclusive. So
beautiful.
Las maestras.
Vámonos.
Vámonos.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds amazing. So.
Aburrida de las. I don't know how. I know Aburrida's bored, but I'm trying to remember. Yeah. Aburrida las maestras.
Maestros aburridos. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. Guys, this has been really, really fun. Yeah. Subscribe to everything on Seriously Dad. Follow them on all this stuff, and hit their email if you want to chat, or send us over what you got, what you're thinking, and what you're parenting. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Later.
Peace.
Yeah. Later.
Seriously, Dad.
Thank you for listening to the Dads. For once, give these daddies a break. And maybe follow, subscribe, like, and comment to the Dads on Instagram and YouTube at SeriouslyDadPod. Rate and review Seriously Dad Podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Seriously, Dad.
Hey, how you doing? This is Neil Wood, one of the co-owners of Drop 10 Media Network, and who helps run Biggest Little Comedy. You can check out all the other stuff we do at drop10.com. We've got podcasts, live comedy shows, and so much more. Go over there, support your favorite podcasts, follow them, subscribe. We appreciate it, and we're 100% DIY. Just a bunch of creatives trying to make it in this, and give us some feedback. We always enjoy a little feedback. Thanks.
This has been a Drop 10 Media production.